ॐ शन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्भक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु भक्तारम् ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. Last time we saw सत्यादिशब्दाः न परस्परं सम्बध्यन्ते परार्थत्वात्. Very important distinction between a visheshana, an adjective, and a lakshana, words that are supposed to reveal. And so, what is the difference? When you say, so parasparam sambadhyante, some questions were there afterwards. I think there was a little bit of confusion around it. So, let us see what it, just to clarify that once and for all, so that we can go from, move forward with clarity. So, parasparam means mutually. All that the Bhashyakara here, all that he means to say is the following: that when you say big, blue, fragrant lily, what is the function of each and every word in vis-a-vis the lily? What is the function of big? What is the function of blue? And then finally, what is the function of fragrant? They are all what is that? Words that that separate. Words that separate this particular lily that we are describing from all other lilies. Same jati. Lily jati. Jati means a species of flower called lily. And then, this is separated from within that jati from all other lilies which are not big, which are not blue, which are not, what is the last one, fragrant. So you see, there parasparam sambadhyante. They have a relationship there. Why do they have a relationship? Because each one is building upon the other, and it has a separating function to hone in on the particular kind of lily that we want to describe, that we want to separate from all other lilies. Now here, the words Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam do not have that same emphasis. They do not have an adjectival function, even though technically the words are adjectival in nature. They do not have the function, oh, let us pick out of all the Brahmans there, let us pick the existent Brahman. As opposed to what? Non-existent Brahman. Satyam means existence, as we will shortly see. Then let us pick the Chetanam Brahma. Let us pick the Brahman that is alive, as opposed to the inert Brahman. Then finally, let us pick Anantam Brahma, means the limitless, all-pervasive, free of time, free of space Brahman, and free of being a particular object Brahman, as opposed to that Brahman which is confined to a particular object, being a particular object, occupying a particular space, and within a certain time, its tenure is within this much and this much. And if Brahman had a gravestone, it would be like this, from year this and to that. So this is the tenure. No, there is no kind. Each one is not building up. Each one is also not talking about Brahman from a certain standpoint. No, and each one is not revealing part of Brahman. No, each one is revealing the entirety of what this Brahman is. And in fact, really speaking, we just need one word. Three, why do we need? If you say Satyam, Satyam never comes by itself. It drags in Jnanam. It drags in the fact that Brahman is Chetana. Then what else is there? Then Anantam, if you say Satyam and Jnanam are there. Jnanam, if you say Satyam and Anantam are there. But then why is there three? Because, the Shruti is aware that the brain cells of the human being for whom this Vidya is intended is encased within a thick skull. And so the knowledge has to pass through, pass through the bones. That is why the three words are there. Otherwise, one word is enough. Even one word is enough. That's why we have a Mahavakya in the Taittiriya Upanishad, Rigveda Mahavakya, Prajnanam Brahma. Just one word, Prajnanam. Jnanam with a affix, the prefix pra. That's it. And immediately everything comes in. Satyam comes in, Jnanam comes in, Anantam comes in, everything comes in. Jnanam, of course, is already there. So you don't need all three. But these three are given out of the Upanishad's compassion for the human predicament. Thinking poor human beings, they're all cut up into categories, and surely they can use. These three words are given here in the form of the Mahavakya. So therefore, na parasparam sambadhyante. They are not trying to, each one is not trying to separate, hone in on Brahman gradually. That's all it means. And विशेष्यार्था हि ते अतः एव एकैकः विशेषणशब्दः परस्परं निरपेक्षः ब्रह्मशब्देन सम्बध्यते. So therefore, Visheshyartha Hite means they are, they are completely, they means who? These three words, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. They are completely committed to revealing Brahman. To revealing Brahman. They're not concerned with each other. They're also not trying to, each one is trying to separate more than the previous word did. No. They are all intent, they are all focused on Brahman. And so therefore what Visheshyartha means, their artha, their purpose is in revealing the Visheshya. What is Visheshya? Brahma Visheshyam. Visheshanaihi, which are now converted into Lakshanaihi. So this is so Visheshyam means that which is to be revealed. That which is to be described is Brahman. So they are all, they are all Visheshya Tatparaha. They are all committed to revealing the Brahman as the Visheshya, as the topic that needs to be understood. Because as he pointed out earlier, Anirdharitam Brahma. This Brahman is not ascertained fully. So, ataha eva, therefore, what? Ekaikaha, each one of them, Visheshana Shabdaha, these adjectival words, which function as revelatory words. No longer, they are not adjectival, even though they are functionally adjectival, they are revelatory words. Then what? Ekaikaha Visheshana Shabdaha, then Nirapekshah Brahma Shabdena Sambadhyate. They are connected to Brahman. They are not connected to each other. They are connected to Brahman alone. And then therefore what? So therefore this is what they are committed to revealing. Each and every word is committed to revealing that alone. And therefore he says it should not, even though it says Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, we have to take it as Satyam Brahma, Jnanam Brahma, Anantam Brahma. That's why you see how they don't, they are not parasparam sambadhyante. This is how it is. Now I hope it is a little clearer. Further, Bhashya, Satyamiti
सत्यमिति
Yadrupena
यद्रूपेण
Yat Nishchitam
यत् निश्चितं
Tadrupanna Vyabhicharati
तद्रूपन्न व्यभिचरति
Tat Satyam
तत्सत्यं
यद्रूपेण निश्चितं
यद्रूपेण निश्चितं
यत्तद्रूपं व्यभिचरत्
यत्तद्रूपं व्यभिचरत्
अनृतम् इत्युच्यते
अनृतम् इत्युच्यते
अतः
अतः
विकारः अनृतम्
विकारः अनृतम्
वाचारम्भणं विकारो
वाचारम्भणं विकारो
नामधेयम्
नामधेयम्
मृत्तिका इति एव सत्यम्.
मृत्तिका इति एव सत्यम्.
Yeah. Even though it's one sentence, no, three sentences, it is extremely packed. This is how the Taittiriya Bhashya is, at least in the beginning, for quite a bit. And so we have to look at it very carefully because Bhashyakara is taking it and running. And he has a way with words, and he can just put, the whole. The whole word Satyam in three sentences, and so that to and but those are what kind of sentences are they are extremely packed, very tightly packed, full of wonderful connotations, impressions, and certain consequences are there. Because we look at certain things a certain way, there are certain consequences of looking at Satyam in a certain way, etc. So all that we have to, it is our privilege to unpack this slowly. So Satyam iti means now we take up the word Satyam. So this is very interesting because this word Satyam, what does it really mean? What is Satyam? And if you say Satyam Brahma, what do you understand? And supposing I bring out the trusty pot, okay, from if you look at it this way, okay, the background is virtual, okay, yeah, the background is pratibhasika and pot is vyavaharika, all right, to illustrate what we are talking, to reveal the paramarthika. Because if I hold it here, it just arupa, it has no form whatsoever. But then if I hold it in front of my face, you can see this. So this is Satyam. Yad asti, tat Satyam. Asti means exists. It exists, and this is how we look at it. This is what? Satyam. What is this? Pot. If you look at it like this, it's a cup. Okay? Satyam. And then what? This also exists. Okay? This also exists. What is this? If I show it here, you say nothing. Okay? So, what is this? Lamp. Okay? Lamp, oil lamp. You can see the shape. Yeah, everything has to happen right in this small area. So you can see the shape. All right. This is a lamp. And then this also asti. Asti iti upalabhyate. This is, this responds to the word asti, is. Lamp is. Pot or cup, whatever it is. And then what is this? This also I have to show right here. What is this? I don't know what this is. Some kind of a bowl dish. So too deep to be a saucer. So all this is. This is our understanding of is. But from the standpoint of Brahman, Vacharambhanam vikaro namadeyam, meaning it is all gone. This is magic. Who knew we could do, we could, what should I say? We could use the background in so many ways. So from a particular standpoint, they all exist. Pot number one, pot number two, lid number one, lid number two, saucer number one, dish number two, lamp number one, lamp number two. And then from the standpoint of Brahman, what is there? There is only, you can't say there is nothing. There is clay. Yeah. And that's what we are going to be. They don't have individual forms. Those forms are what just disappears in the wake of this understanding. This is, this is Paramarthika Satta, and then it's all one and it's all Brahman. But why is it not visible? Because Brahman is you, it's not an object. And so, from the standpoint of the Vyavaharika Satta, it is very much there. What fun these backgrounds are. We should try out a few others. And then, so Satyam Brahma, what do you get? Is something exists. And if it exists, then you say asti, yad asti, tat satyam. So this is our orientation, that anything that is known to us, anything that is there, it's all satyam. And that's, the the word satyam is used to reveal a thing which is, which is there, which exists. So generally, you take it, you can take Satyam in two ways. One is you take it as that which exists, an existent object, and or you can take it as Karanam, cause. What is the connection between Satyam and Karanam? This is interesting. Between Satyam and Karanam, the connection is because of our ontological understanding of the word Satyam. Satyam is not an object. Satyam is not pot. It is our understanding of the pot as existent. Pot exists. Supposing if I say really, Satyam, really it exists. No, clay exists. So you see, so the clay, when you say clay exists and it supersedes the pot to catch hold, to grab hold of this abstract noun called existence, then something interesting happens. Vis-a-vis the pot, the clay becomes karanam. Pot becomes karya. You see? This is all the regular day-to-day understanding. In our day-to-day understanding, there are so many things in the world and they all exist and each one has a karanam, and then that also, then the karanam becomes karya, then that also has a karanam, and then that karanam becomes another karya, that also has a karanam. So karanam, karya, karanam, karya, karanam, karya, endlessly this entire jagat precariously appears to exist on a series of karyas and karanas. Karya effect, karana, what is karana? Is cause. So cause effect, cause effect, cause effect, cause effect, cause effect, this is what it is. And then suddenly you say Brahma Satyam. Oh, now we are in trouble. Then what is Brahman? It's supposed to be an existent thing. But then we already use the word Satyam for pot. This is existing. And Brahman is also existing. Yeah, let's be accommodative. There's enough space. There are so many things in the universe. There's enough space for Brahman also. Don't worry. Brahman is also one more thing, which is why people say, I don't have time for Brahman. Why? Because I'm very, very busy pursuing so many things. I'm very busy looking at this, looking at that, getting here, getting there, going here. I have so many pursuits. Brahman is one more thing to pursue. In Hindi, we have the word cheese. Cheese means vastu. So, Brahman is also one more cheese, one more thing, one more thing. And then we are in this quandary. When we say Brahma Satyam, Brahman becomes as limited as any other thing. If Brahman says, I am, I am fine, I am Satyam, it's as good as saying, I am finite, because every single thing that is usurped, that has usurped the word Satyam to describe itself is finite, is existent in space, is existent in time. In other words, it's time bound, space bound, and we have one more kind of a limitation in Sanskrit we call object bound. Object wise limitation, vastutah paricheda. So that paricheda from the standpoint of the vastu here means, paricheda here means the limiting factor from the standpoint of if something is a cat, it cannot at the same time in the same place be a dog. It has already occupied the cat body. It cannot at the same time enter into a dog body. That is vastutah parichinnatvam. And so then this is, so this is one thing, that is one thing. And then what? Then we have this big bang sentence, Brahmavit apnoti param. And the pot will laugh, the cup will laugh, the saucer will laugh, they'll all laugh. They'll say, I'm also Satyam. But knowing this pot, you don't get param, you don't get freedom from samsara. And similarly, if Brahman is also like a pot, then you don't get anything out of this, out of knowing Brahman at all. So therefore, what? So therefore, the word Satyam is fraught with the linguistic limitations of language. What are the limitations of language? The language limitations is that the language is capable, the whole entire language. Whether you take Sanskritam, whether you take English, doesn't matter, any language is fraught with certain limitations. What are those limitations? Well, they are used to describe 4 categories of things. One, we have seen jati, tree jati. And then we know what this tree should look like. It should have some branches, it should have a trunk, it should have leaves. Not in the autumn perhaps, but then generally it should have leaves. And then this is the tree. And it has certain characteristics. Dog, cat, cow, and buffalo, lily, lotus. These are all jati, nouns. So if you don't want to say jati, if there isn't an English translation, you can more or less say nouns. Then what else is there? In addition to the nouns, jati, then visheshanas, guna. So out of those trees, you want to describe a particular tree, the leafy tree, the tall tree, the active child, the naughty boy. Like this, you want to describe within the jatis, you want to highlight certain things. And so guna. These are all the adjectives. Adverbs also come under guna. Jati, nouns. Then what do we have? The nouns are not standing still. Even if it's a tree, it's moving in the wind. Some portions of it, some of the twigs and the leaves are moving in the wind, if not the trunk. So then this is what? Action, kriya. So jati, guna, kriya. Action. Runs, eats, sits, stands, knows, sleeps, and shouts, screams. All this action. Pursues, as in knowledge. All these are actions. And then finally we have sambandha. Sambandha means what? Relationships. So supposing there is a cow, which is a jati vachaka shabda, meaning it is indicating a particular group of nouns, cow, etc., cattle, if you say cow. And then what? Then you say, okay, this particular cow, white cow, black cow, Jersey cow. Then you have the guna. Then what is the cow doing? Sitting and chewing the cud, kriya. And then sambandha. This cow's mother is that cow. This cow has given birth to this calf. So there is, or this cow belongs to that farmer, that milkman. So this is what, this is the sambandha. So this is the whole gamut of language. This is exactly how we use words. But then, supposing there is no jati, how are you going to describe things? Brahman has no jati, no species. Like cow, cat, dog, tree, human being, no jati. Oh, maybe it will have some attributes. No attributes, no quality. It's neither hot nor cold nor lukewarm. Nothing. Doesn't have qualities. It's neither sattvic nor tamasic nor rajasic. No gunas are there. And then, okay, maybe we'll just wait for it to do something, and then we'll describe it by action. It's not doing anything. Free of all action. What are you going to do now? So no guna. It doesn't change. So if in order for there to be an action, there should be change. But there is no change in it. So there is no, it's not an agent of action. And it is not being acted upon. So there is no karaka vyapara at all. There is no deployment of any kind of, karaka means the factors in action, agent, instrument, etc., etc. It is not there. It's neither an agent nor is it done in by other agents of action. It is not an instrument of action. Because of this, something happened, you cannot say. And it is not something for the sake of which the action is being performed. And it is not something out of which something has come. No, oh, but what about the Jagat? It hasn't really come out. Oh, but we say that the Jagat has come out of Brahman as though, like like this, as though. When you want it to disappear, it doesn't. Okay, yeah, this is called karma, and so then we have, we don't have any, we don't have any action here, and all the factors of action. And maybe it has some relationship. It doesn't have any relationship. Brahman is neither the father, nor the mother, nor the child, nor the brother, nor the sister, nor the friend. It doesn't have any relationship. Brahman is neither mine, nor yours, nor his, nor hers, nor anybody's. So no relationship, no sambandha. Everything is Brahman. So where is the sambandha? Now, how to reveal this? How to reveal this Brahman? So if we go for unknown words means what? Pujya Swamiji had a whole lot of words to these kinds of words. Kachapacha, gagabuga, all these things he would say. What did you understand? Nothing. Nothing. Unknown words means if supposing, if say I knew some language, some foreign language, I knew and I taught Brahman in that particular language, then if nobody else understands that, nobody will understand that. Supposing it's an extinct language whose speakers have died away, as sadly has happened with many indigenous languages, then the last of the speakers has passed away, and supposing I use that language and communicate, what will anybody understand? If the Upanishad was to use that language to communicate, nothing at all would be understood. Absolutely nothing. And so therefore the you know the we have to we have to be very careful. We can't use unknown words, it is very clear. We can't use known words because the known words are sullied with our own limitations, with the limitations of the language, with linguistic limitations, with subjective limitations. Because anything that is qualified by the word is, when we say something is, we mean something that is today, gone tomorrow, something that hangs around in time, maybe for a long time, but eventually will go away. And so therefore, you can't use unknown words, and you can't use known words. Because all words of relationship gone, all words of action gone. Action gone means there is all the 10 lakaras in Sanskrit are gone. Lat, lit, lot, lit, ring, late, everything. All that, present, past, future, simple future, periphrastic future, imperative mood, potential mood, two kinds of potential mood. One is potential, one is benedictive. All that gone. 10 moods, and four moods and six tenses, 10 of them together. All gone. And because we cannot use them to reveal Brahman. So Sambandha gone, everything gone. And then what is left in the language? A few conjunctions are left. Cha, and, and then what? Other nipatas, things that don't decline. Hawaii, indeed, he, because, all this, that also are of no use. That's all gobbledygook. And therefore what? Maunavyakhya prakatita para brahma tattvam yuvanam. Somebody said. And this is all a place of consternation, because they think that, Brahman is to be known in silence. Brahman is to be known in silence, because you are absolutely right. This is all not necessary, because the words cannot reveal. What can they reveal? Nothing. Brahman is beyond time, beyond space, beyond Ananda. They say this. In fact, there's one cartoonist in California, he named himself Swami Beyond Ananda. And you can Google it, not now, okay, later. And so, so this is madness. And so this beyond, 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 and so you have to keep quiet. And then in the quietude of the mind, Brahman will emerge. How is it going to emerge? How is it going to emerge? Is it like some kind of Loch Ness monster or something? And it's going to emerge in the placid lake. It's going to emerge on a quiet, moonless night. This is ridiculous. And then so if Brahman needs silence, that means what? Brahman is silence leenaha. Silence leenam Brahma. So this Brahman is dependent upon silence. Immersed in silence, it's leaning on silence literally. And then so that means what? If I have a thought, then what happens? Brahman goes away. As soon as there is noise, Brahman gets scared out of its wits and goes away. As soon as there is some kind of a thought means there is no silence. And then I decide to talk, then Brahman goes away. But people have spiritual romanticism, even though this is logically impossible. People have some kind of a spiritual romanticism which makes them desire for this silence. Desire for this feeling that silence alone is Brahman. Perhaps they came from a noisy family, okay? Yeah, and so everybody was, lots of children maybe, and everybody was keeping on talking all the time. a very noisy, chatty family. And then it kind of dovetails very, very nicely with the feeling that because I want Shanti and this Brahman also must be silence. Abba, thank God. This is just a very subjective understanding and a terrible mistake. But then why does it say Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Para Brahma Tattvam Yuvanam? This is the Dhyana Shloka of Dakshinamurti Stotram. Mauna Vyakhya, a speech that was silent. Some kind of a nice pun here. So then, what happened to this? And then this, this Lord Dakshinamurti, youthful, resplendent, teaching four elderly sages through a sign language. This is the sign language. You who are what? The accusing you who point to the whole universe, naming and pointing and naming and pointing. And sometimes you point at yourself with guilt and hurt. So you with this roaming finger and with this finger, which therefore stands for the ahankara, which appears to be, at least in the metaphor of the hand, closely aligned with the body, the mind, the senses. Some people say that. Some people also say, what is that called? The gross, this is ahankara, and then the sthula sharira, sukshma sharira, karana sharira. Doesn't matter how you take it. I like body, mind, sense complex. So this is, this is what, I enjoy doing that. So because it's more intimate this way. And so then this ahankara seems to come from that same root where these other fingers representing the body mind sense complex are, and then the ahankara seems to be great friends with them. And then this thumb is a funny fellow, we having a different origin, short, fat, and then apparently useless. And then what? The teaching is for this ahankara to bend. And then the guru makes the ahankara bend and touch its toes. No, it makes the ahankara bend and then reach this the understanding that this is the satta and the spurti of the whole hand. The functionality of the hand is because of the presence of the thumb. The functionality of the hand is because of the presence of the thumb. Without the thumb, there is no possibility for the hand to function at all. So this ahankara has forgotten that. It thinks it is the agent, it is the cause of everything, and then it is disabused of this notion by showing that it is Brahman alone. So this thumb stands for Brahman, and it is Brahman, and so the knowledge has come a full circle. So Lord Dakshinamurti taught like this, in silence, and then people catch hold of the silence. Oh, then why are you talking so much? If he taught in silence, we should also keep quiet and you should just let us come to any conclusion we want. This is the problem already there in the world. Once, when I was in Rishikesh, we had some religious leader come, and some famous person with a large following, and came and said that he came and visited the ashram, and Pujya Swamiji asked him to give a talk. And so Pujya Swamiji thought he'll talk for half an hour, maybe 1 hour. 2 hours, even the lunch hour had to be set back. And so 11:30 he started, and he did not finish till almost 2 o'clock. So first he said, Brahman is to be understood in silence. And then he said, those who know do not talk, and those who talk do not know. And then he proceeded to talk, for almost 2 hours. And so like this, there is a lot of confusion here. And then there is also certain indignation. And where is this indignation coming from? If the Sanakadi Munis, if the Sanakas, Sanandana, Sanat Kumara, Sanat Sujata, all the students of Lord Dakshinamurti could get it in silence, why do I have to listen to you? I should also get it in silence. Why am I not similarly blessed? Well, that is there in another Dhyana shloka. That reason is given. चित्रं वटतरोर्मूले वृद्धा शिष्या गुरुर्युवा गुरोस्तु मौनं व्याख्यानं शिष्यास्तुच्छिन्न संशयः. So here he says, picture this. Chitram Vatato, picture this beautiful scenery underneath the banyan tree. Banyan tree represents samsara. And Lord Dakshinamurti has conquered samsara. That's why pictured in front or underneath the banyan tree. And then in front of the banyan tree. And then what? Vriddha Shishya. Shishyaha Vriddhaha. See, all the students are old, flowing beards. Oh, so they were just busy doing other things and they waited to retire to come and study Brahman. That's not the idea. Old in the sense of old souls, okay? Meaning they have spent lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, honing themselves to study this, gaining the adhikaritvam, becoming qualified for this teaching, and just being without ragadveshas, growing into an emotionally matured person, ripe for this knowledge. They have done their work, and so just an indication is enough. And this is what is a lakshana, meaning it's not that words cannot convey. In fact, it's words only the convey. But what do words convey? The words don't describe Brahman. Words indicate Brahman. Indicate means you cannot describe something that doesn't have name, that doesn't have form, that doesn't have action, that doesn't do anything. How can you describe that? You can't describe that. You point. And that to which the teacher points happens to be you, who happens to be Jnanam, Chaitanya, who happens to be free of any kind of, what is that, any need to be revealed. The self-revealed I is just indicated. The nature of the self-revealed I, the self-revealing I, is indicated through words. Just like when you go to a park in America and all, there are all these, what are they called, state parks. And you're looking, they go to some park and then you're looking for some place, picnic area where you brought some kind of a packed lunch and you want to go to the picnic area. And then, then there is a sign made of wood, and then there are no words on it. There is a picnic table drawn or etched or painted on this piece of wood, and then an arrow or a finger pointing that way. Correct? There's a picnic table etched on this signpost, and then there is an arrow pointing that way. That's enough of an indication. That is Lakshana here. That is Lakshana. No words are used. That is it's an indication. So then you don't eat that sign thinking that, okay, that is the picnic table, or you don't try to sit on the sign because that's a picnic table. No. It points and you go where it points. In fact, it's even better with regard to the eye because you don't have to go anywhere. The eye is right here, and to which these words point. And to show that it is Lakshana, it is Mauna Vyakhya. And also because the sages who received this knowledge were more of an exception rather than the rule. Uttama adhikaris, they were very highly evolved adhikaris. And so therefore, this, so you cannot just come to some kind of wrong, understanding So Brahman is silence, or only when there is no thought there is Brahman. What else? Or Brahman must not exist. It is Shunya. It cannot be described, and then it doesn't do anything, and then you cannot see it. You cannot. It doesn't have jati. It doesn't have guna. It doesn't have kriya. It doesn't have sambandha. It must not exist at all. This is not the idea. So therefore, neither can we use words that are unknown. And so what do? We have what is called a pedagogy, for which the Taittiriya is famous. So the pedagogy here, I don't know what to call it, but it's like the pedagogy of abstraction. So where you take the words, that you already know, like Satyam. You know the word Satyam, you take the word Satyam, and then what? And then it is understood by you in a certain way, and that manner in which it is understood is negated while retaining the root sense of the word as dhatu. Satyam is derived from as dhatu, and so retaining this as dhatu means to be, as to be. So retaining the sense of existence, and then and because in the mind that existence is wrapped up, bound by time, by space, desha, kala, vastu. Like for example, if I say ghataha asti, ghataha asti means what? Pot is. So when I say pot is, then what do we understand? Ghataha asmin deshe, asmin kale, ayam ghataha asti. In this place, in this time, this pot is. So when I say pot is, all this is already going in the head. Without saying, everybody understands this. This is a universal understanding, very, very interesting. Universal understanding, and regardless of, this is a collective understanding, regardless of language, country, etc., etc. When anybody says in the world something is, then these three parichedakas, meaning the desha, kala, vastu, these three things limit the satyam. And so then I say Brahma asti, Brahma asti. And so therefore what? How to do this? So when you say Brahma, Brahma Satyam, we take the word as, the root verb as, and use it in that abstract sense. Knocking off the temporal, spatial, and object-wise limitations. For each thing we do that. Jnanam, the same thing we do. Jnanam means what? Nowhere. Is it nowhere? Jnanam, is it known? Is it something? Is it a means of knowledge? It is not the knower, it is not the known, it is not the means by which I know something. Yet, Brahman is non separate from all three. All three are Brahman, but Brahman is not any one of them. So, like this, through an elaborate process, we have, we look at this. We look at this very, very carefully to see that how existence, the concept of existence, transcends the space, time, and object. The concept here of knowledge, meaning Chaitanya, Yapti Swarupa. He's going to say that. And this is just an introduction to this section, which is very, very terse. So that's why I'm taking the time to explain this, so that when we look at the Bhashya, the meaning will come very, very easily. So this is the so jnanam here is awareness, consciousness. Aware of what? Aware of what? Aware of nothing in particular, and all things become aware to that consciousness is Brahman. Aware of no thing in particular. That awareness is not bound by time. It's not an awareness that lasts for so long. It's not an awareness that is directed towards an object. It's not object awareness. It's not witness awareness or subject awareness. It's not awareness of either subject or object. It simply is. And that subject awareness is not outside of this awareness. Object awareness is not outside of this awareness. Yet it is neither subject nor object. Oh, how do I know this? Because it is you. This is the time to pinch yourself. And then if you say, ow, that means you are aware. Okay, that's all we have to say. No other thing is necessary. And then so, same thing. So these concepts are negated. Our finite, the concepts that make our understanding of these words finite are negated. And then that means what? That means it just leaves the meaning of the word Brahman as you. As you. And this is what is called the deployment of Lakshana. And Lakshana, as I said, comes in many, many forms. Jahat Lakshana. Jahat Lakshana means that you give up a word in order to find the meaning. You have to give up the word. Jahat Lakshana. So, supposing, and this is not a very nice example, but this is the only example that Swamiji would always use, and so it has stuck with me. And so, at the party, this person at a party, this person wants to show off that they do not drink at all. They are teetotalers, they don't drink. And so what do? But they have an understanding with the waiter. So in the party, the one who is serving all the beverages. So bring me some water. and the waiter, and then some money is changing hands from the person who is asking the waiter to bring the water. Bring me some Coca-Cola. That's even better. Bring me some Coca-Cola, or bring me something, fruit juice or something like that, or bring me some water. And then it's not water at all, and maybe it is something that looks like water, some kind of a spirit that looks like water, but it's not water. Or it looks like Coca-Cola, but it's not Coca-Cola. And so the person understands. He gives up water. Tyaga Lakshana here, Jahat Lakshana. So that word water has to be given up. And then the understanding is already there when you give up. But if somebody, who didn't know this really got a glass of water, then that is, then it doesn't function like a Lakshana. So here the person wants to hide that they drink. So loudly they say, bring me some water. Where everybody else is drinking something alcoholic. So here they want to show, I don't touch alcohol. And so bring me some water. And then the person brings some very clear liquid and it looks like water. But it is not. So this is Jahat Lakshana. Then there is another thing called Ajahat Lakshana. Shveto Dhavati. What is the meaning of this? The white runs. White runs? White is a color. Can the color run? Oh yeah, if you put it in the wash, it will run. Well, white color never runs. Even if other colors run, even metaphorically, if you say white is a color that will never run. So what do you mean by white runs? No. Here is again a very, very some kind of a nefarious thing going on. They are betting. They are betting against something that is white and something that runs. Oh no, what can that be? Horse. You have to, this is Ajahat Lakshana. You don't give up white. You supply horse there. Shvetaha Ashvaha Dhavati. So, Shveto Dhavati. So somebody is giving a tip without anybody else knowing. If you want to give the tip, oh yeah, the white one, that one last time, he's running, the white runs. But here you have to supply horse. This is Ajahat Lakshana. Then This kind of a pedagogy that we are deploying is neither Jahat Lakshana, the first kind where you give up everything, nor Ajahat Lakshana, nor the second kind. So Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. You don't give up Satyam fully. You don't give up Jnanam fully. You don't give up Anantam fully. Nor you bring in other things to buttress this understanding. No. Then what do? You give up a little. You retain a little. What is that called? Jahat Jahal Lakshana. Jahat plus, Ajahat. Jahat Jahal Lakshana or Bhagat Tyaga Lakshana. Same thing. Tyaga, give up, Bhaga, bring in, and retaining. So Bhagat Tyaga Lakshanaya. And this Brahman is understood. This is the general pedagogy which we are, the deployment or the unfoldment of this pedagogy is the portion that we are entering. We are entering. And then, so we understand this, we need to understand this very, very properly. And then what? So then then there are some other kinds of lakshanas also, which are not, which are not exclusive or contradictory to Bhagatyaga Lakshana. This is just general things. Like some are descriptive lakshanas, and then some are Vyavartaka Lakshana. So Vyavartaka Lakshana we have. Descriptive Lakshana is Avakasha Pradatra Akasham. That is a descriptive Lakshana. And then this is what is called, what is it called? Vyavartaka Lakshana. It's some kind of a Lakshana which separates and which, which separates. And so that is why, it is called Vyavartaka Lakshana. And then, Satyam Brahma, Jnanam Brahma, Anantam Brahma iti. And then let us see, where are we in the Bhashya? Go back and read this. Yeah. So, Satyam iti. Yad rupena yat nishchitam tad rupam na vyabhicharati tat Satyam. A beautiful definition of the word Satyam is given. Something we can all relate to. This is not some kind of an esoteric or some kind of an abstract definition, something which we can all see very clearly. This is Bhashyakara at his best. We can see clearly, and not only see clearly, but we can really understand what he is saying. And then, yadrupena, yadvastu, whichever thing, yadrupena nishchitam, is ascertained and understood in a particular form, meaning this is how it is, so, or this is of this nature, of this character, iti yadvastu nishchitam, then tadrupam navyabhicharati, it is Satyam. And the local example we can give, sugar is sweet. Is it Satyam? Yes. Yadrupam, yadrupena nishchitam. Sweetness is the character. Sweet is, sugar is ascertained as sweet. And then what? Even if you put it right next to the chili powder, the bottle of sugar, it's not going to give up. It's not going to get influenced by the salt on the left and the chili powder on the right. And it's not going to give up its nature. It just simply is not. It's going to retain its nature. Therefore, the sugar is sweet. This statement is Satyam. From this we understand some very important thing. Satyam is not an object. It's not an object at all. What is it? It's an ontological understanding of the reality of a particular thing with which the word is used. It's an understanding of the reality of this. It's a reality claim of that particular thing. So is sugar sweet? Satyam? Yes. Why? Because sugar never gives up its nature, no matter whatever, even if you caramelize it, it'll be a little bitter, but it'll still be sweet. And so, therefore, yad rupena, yad nishchitam, tad vastu, na vyabhicharati iti satyam. Vyabhicharati means does not move away from its nature, does not give up its nature. So, Satyam is not a thing in itself, it's a word which reveals your understanding of an object. So, Satyam means what? It is your understanding, it's not an object, it's your understanding. So, therefore, yad rupena yad vastu nishchitam, however, something has been ascertained, that is Satyam. Then, we can take this example. So suppose we say this is rope. Rope iti nishchitam. Rope iti nishchitam. And then what? Yad rupe. So it is ascertained as rope. Yad rupena yad vastu nishchitam tad rupam na vyabhicharati. This is rope. But then that same rope, somebody, because now you know it as rope. So somebody else encounters it at twilight and then says, Eek, snake. Correct? Snake. And then sometimes the rope does look like a snake. Sometimes the edges are frayed and it looks like a split tongue here of the snake. And sometimes the body is thick and the tail is small, and sometimes it is flexible, so the rope lies in 2 or 3 bends, and so therefore then then you can so snake. So then suppose that person looks at this in the twilight and says, snake iti nishchitam, this vastu is snake. And then what? then then with the help of a flashlight it is looked at again, and then punaha rope iti nishchitam. It is not a snake, it is rajju. So therefore what? So therefore this is how we understand the satyatva, the satya vastu here. It's not the vastu itself, but it's the understanding of the vastu. The wrong understanding of the snake led one to ascertain, of the rope, led one to ascertain it as a snake. That is the idea. So then, maybe the snake goes, and maybe, a garland will come, garland will come. Srag means garland. And so, because it is not understood as rope. And then now what? The snake is gone. Snake is gone. Why? The snake was not real. Snake was not Satyam. From the standpoint of the understanding, what was snake? It was false. And this is what he is going to say next. Yad rupena, yat nishchitam, tad rupam vyabhicharati, tad anritam uchyate. Fantastic. This is, classic Adi Shankara style. First presents something and then gives takes into account its opposite as well. So that which never gives up its nature under any circumstances is called Satyam. And that yad rupena yat nishchitam, that which is which is ascertained in a certain way but gives up its nature, that is called anritam. Anritam here means mithya. With reference to Brahman, Jagat, etc. But in the snake rope example, it is not mithya. Here it is false. So Anritam has many meanings. So now between Satyam, the rope, and Anritam, the snake, what is the difference? Oh, well, let's see. One bites, the other one doesn't bite. Don't go there. That is not the difference. So, what's the difference between the Satyam, the rope in this example, and Anritam, the snake? What is the difference? The difference here is Vyabhichara. In the first instance, Navyabhicharati. In the second instance, Vyabhicharati. Correct? So for the person who saw rope as rope, navyabhicharati. But for the person who mistook it as snake and then came to see it as rope, vyabhicharati. So between Satyam and Anritam, vyabhichara is there. So because of the knowledge of the rope, jnanena vastuswarupa nischayena badhyatvam asti. Badhyatvam, very important word. Badhyatvam means the negation is there because of knowledge. The negation of something happens because of knowledge of the vastu. When the vastu is properly ascertained, all other things are negated. Sugar and salt sometimes in America look the same. They look the same. And then, if they're not in their original containers which mark sugar, etc., they look the same. And then what? Then you have to distinguish. So this is what is called badhyatvam. You put a small pinch on the tongue, and the face puckers like this. That means what? It is sugar. No, with sugar nobody makes a face with putting a few grains of sugar on the tongue. So therefore it is salt, and therefore what? The sugar is negated. Jnanena, vastu jnanena. With a proper ascertainment of this is salt, meaning salt here is satyam now, and then sugar is negated. That this is sugar is false. That this, in the wake of the Vastu Swarupa Jnanam, then what? Then it is, Badhyate. The previous conclusion is negated. So this is this has, huge repercussions in our understanding of Brahman, Jagat, Jiva, etc. Ishvara, everything. Because this is exactly what the problem is. So all our nishchayas, yadyad vastu, yadyad rupena nishchitam, tat vyabhicharati, then it is anritam. So then body, if you take, then it is ascertained. Oh, this is the body, and then it is ascertained first as permanent, and then vyabhicharati keeps on changing, keeps on decreasing, increasing, growing, and growing old, becoming decrepit, becoming infirm, becoming ill. And so that whatever vyabhicharati, tad anritam mithya. Then mind, vyabhicharati or not vyabhicharati, definitely vyabhicharati. And then as soon as you say, I am restless, suddenly you feel calm. Why? Because you have acknowledged the restlessness, and so the tranquility comes. So as soon as you say, I am restless, calmness comes. And so that shows what? That shows that you are not, that vyabhichara has taken place. And then same thing, sense organs, same thing. So, I see. What do you see? Not much. If there is an elephant in the room, literally speaking, I can see that, but nothing else I can see. Senses also keep changing, drive you senseless. All kinds of aids one needs. The upanetram, and then maybe hearing aid is upakaranam, and then then what else? You need everything. Only thing, we don't have a smelling aid, something to put in the nose, we don't have yet, or a tasting aid, an extra tongue, that a clip-on tongue we don't have, you know other than that. So like this, all this, this is all these two sentences. There are three sentences here, and I told you that we are not going to go beyond this today. Better luck tomorrow. But so that's because it is so packed. It has huge repercussions for our study and for our understanding. And so, and what is also important is, how is satyam of an object ascertained? The second connection I want you to look at just from these sentences, the second connection that it yields is jnanena badhyate. By knowledge, the wrong conclusion is negated. Whether there is vyabhichara, movement, change, etc., or whether there is no vyabhichara, that is ascertained through the proper knowledge of a particular vastu. So this is, this is something which is there. So this vastu swarupa jnanena, only through knowledge this rope, for example, is ascertained. And then, so therefore, what? Now he comes to a very important conclusion. Now, what do we call that which keeps changing? It should have a name. Yes, it does. We already talked about it as Anritam. Yes, Anritam is okay. Mithya. But Mithya is again an abstract word. What do we call something that keeps on changing? Well, Adi Shankara again pulls a very big number here. A very big truth is revealed. He says that which keeps changing. He doesn't say this right here, comes out directly and says it, but it is the implications are very, very hard to miss. The implications are huge. He says that which keeps on changing must have something changeless because of which the changes can be observed. If you're observing the changes, you are changeless. And because without, to observe motion, you can only observe motion if you are motionless, then and by default you can also only observe changes if you alone are changeless. So atah anritam vikarah anritam. Vikarah means what? Any kind of a modification. And what kind of modification can be there for Brahman? As though modification. Okay. So any kind of a modification within quotes is anritam. Anritam vikarah. Yad yad vyabhicharati tad anritam. Yad yad anritam vikarah eva saha. So very beautiful. I mean, this is just so big, and it will, I would like you to really take the time to allow this to sink in. Very, very important. And so vikaraha means what? Any kind of a modification. I mean, this moves very fast, but the sentences move very fast, but each one is very, very packed. So then, so in conclusion, what do we know? That vastu, that which does not, that which does not change, that is called Satyam. And whatever changes is Anritam Mithya. And then that which changes is a Vikara. Vikara of what? That which is Satyam, of course. That which doesn't, Vyabhicharati, which does not change. It is an as though modification of that which doesn't change. How? We'll see it tomorrow. What's the rush? Yeah. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ. Thank you.
Thank
Janani,
you, sir.
share this one more time because earlier some people were not there. If you can please do that, that will be great. We are having a Homa and she has just shared the flyer again, so you can please download that and you can participate if you would like. All right.